You will like this video and subscribe. I said, you will like this video and subscribe. Hello, welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews. My name is Alyssa, and this is the top 10 Jedi in the Star Wars universe. See, this is a lightsaber. You just have to pretend. Anyways, the top 10 Jedi, at least by my personal opinion. This is my personal rankings. Please feel free to leave your rankings in the comments below. And when I said Star Wars universe a second ago, I mean the films and the television shows, the animated shows, plus Mandalorian. I'm not talking about the expanded universe. Like, I don't do the expanded universe, man. And I'm going to spoil the living crap out of the films because I assume everyone has seen the films, but I'll be a little more careful with the television shows. I won't spoil any major plot points of the characters in the television shows because I know that there are people who haven't seen them and I think you should eventually watch them. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. My list of the 10 best Jedi in the Star Wars universe. And actually, before I jump into the top 10 proper, I wanted to take a moment to give a little shout out to my man Grogu. It's an honorable mention, if you will. And I really wanted to put Grogu into my top 10, but then I thought about it and realized, technically he's not actually a Jedi at this point. When we last see him, Luke is just now taking him off to begin his training, so I don't think he really qualifies as a Jedi, but it is a really great character. As I said with a couple of the droids on my top 10 droids list, he's able to express this huge personality without using any English words, and, he's not bad with the Force for a little baby, 60-year-old baby. And also, he's really cute. I mean, come on. It's Baby Yoda. It's Grogu. You gotta talk about him. But that's all I really gotta say. He's my honorable mention. Now let me go ahead and move on to the actual top 10. And we'll start with number 10, Mace Windu. What is there to say about this character? It's Samuel L. Jackson in Star Wars. That's pretty cool. He does make more appearances in the Clone Wars, but honestly, I don't know that we ever really get that much into his character, even when he appears in the Clone Wars, so it's just kind of, hey, that's cool, Samuel L. Jackson in Star Wars. Whatever. There are rumors that he will return in another Star Wars series, and it turns out he was really alive this whole time, and please don't do that. I love Mace Windu, he's fine, but come on. Can someone actually stay dead in Star Wars? Like, everyone who dies in Star Wars just comes back to life. So what's the point of even having death in the Star Wars universe if everybody just comes back to life? So I would personally like to see him stay dead. Not anything against Samuel L. Jackson or Mace Windu. It's just I'm tired of them bringing everybody back to life. But that's just me. Moving on now to number 9. So number 9 on my list is Qui Gon Jin from The Phantom Menace. This is the Jedi with a particular set of skills to train other Jedi and kick some ass. I think I did this whole thing with the top 10 droids and Jedi and villains just so I could make that joke. He's got a particular set of skills. But anyways, for the longest time, I actually really did not like this character. I had a grudge against him because in the original trilogy, ObiWan and Yoda very, very clearly state that Yoda is the one who directly trained Obi-Wan Kenobi. I've heard people try to make excuses for it and go, oh no, they were just talking about Yoda oversaw Obi-Wan's training. Bullshit! There's no other way to interpret their lines in the original trilogy other than 1000% Yoda absolutely taught Obi-Wan directly. So they kind of retconned in this new character. So I held a grudge against him for the longest time. However, when I recently rewatched The Phantom Menace a couple years ago, I've come to realize that he's actually one of the strong points of an otherwise lackluster film. Liam Neeson does a great job as a Jedi, playing that calm, mellow demeanor, but also you get the sense that, he's a little bit of a rogue as well. So I actually really like this character quite a lot now that I've finally gotten over my 20-year grudge that he shouldn't actually exist. But he comes in at number 9 on my list. At number 8, Ezra Bridger from Star Wars Rebels. Now, I ain't gonna lie, in the first season of Rebels, I found this to be an obnoxious kid character, and he was just really annoying, and I didn't like him. But the character development that he goes through the 4 seasons of Rebels is phenomenal. He comes out at the end of the Rebels as a completely different person, and you watch it happen over the course of the 4 seasons. It is very much earned. You see him learn and grow, and you see him struggle, and he is tempted by the dark side a couple times. And his character journey is very real, and one of the better character journeys in all of the Star Wars animated shows. So for that reason, he makes my list at number 8. And I have heard that possibly we may see a live-action version of this character in Ahsoka Tano or one of the other shows, and I'm here for it. I would love to see his return. So that's it. Ezra Bridger, number 8 on my list. Number 7, Rey from the sequel trilogy. When she first appeared in The Force Awakens, I was very pleased with the fact that our new Luke Skywalker type character was going to be a woman this time, and I loved this particular female character, and I really, really loved Daisy Ridley as she played her. It's unfortunate that she couldn't have been written better. It is unfortunate that she got turned into Palpatine's granddaughter in the last film, which was one of the worst retcons in all of film and television. So ridiculous. No, she was not. She was not Palpatine's granddaughter. But that doesn't change the fact that it's a very strong female character who I very much enjoyed all throughout the 3 films. And so she comes in at number 7 on my top 10 Jedi list. At number 6, Anakin Skywalker, and here I'm talking exclusively about the animated version of Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars. Fuck that Hayden Christensen bullshit. I really wish they would remake the prequels, and they could do it shot by shot for all I care, but just have a better actor. Honestly, when I watched all 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, I went immediately afterwards and watched Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3, and it was jarring. It was hard to go from the animated version to the terrible acting of Hayden Christensen. But the animated version at least does justice to this character. I finally get to see what ObiWan was talking about when he told Luke that his father was a good man, because I did not see that at all in the prequel films. But that does come out very clearly in the Clone Wars. And not only is he a good man, but you definitely see that he's a bit of a war hawk. He has some anger issues, so you can see why he would turn into Darth Vader. And it's a very interesting and complex character in the Clone Wars. And therefore, he does get to be on my list at number 6 for my top 10 Jedi. At number 5, Kanan Jairus from Star Wars Rebels. He, of course, was also known as Caleb Doom earlier on in his life, but throughout the series of Rebels, he is called Kanan Jairus. And like with Ezra Bridger, he has very strong character development. It's a very interesting story in that he was a Padawan when Order 66 took place, and he was able to escape, which we do actually get to see in the first episode of The Bad Batch, which I thought was really cool. But he escapes Order 66 and then is not a Jedi, does not practice the Jedi ways for a very long time, and then gets back into it later in life, and then is put into this position where now he has to become Ezra Bridger's Jedi Master and train him, even though technically he's still a Padawan. So I found that to be very interesting, and to watch how he learns and grows is even better than watching Ezra's character development. And he has a phenomenal ending. I can't spoil anything about what happens with this character towards the end of Rebels, but I thought it worked very, very well for this character. And he introduced us to the Force Wolves. I don't know how other people feel about the Force Wolves, but personally, I love me some Force Wolves. Anyways, that is Kanan Jairus at number 5 on my list. At number 4, Ahsoka Tano. She is primarily from the Clone Wars, but she also does make a handful of appearances in Star Wars Rebels as well. And of course, one appearance in Star Wars The Mandalorian. And I love this character. Speaking of character development, she comes a long way from being the naive little child in the first season of the Clone Wars to where she ends up at the end of the series. And I absolutely loved her storyline at the end of season 7, which happens concurrently with the events of Revenge of the Sith, and we get to see what she was doing during that time. It's a little bit, shoehorned in, a little bit retconned in, but that's okay because I really like this character. And she too is a very strong female Jedi character, and her show, the Ahsoka Tano show, is probably the one that I am most looking forward to seeing. Although I saw a list of expected shows for 2022 and hers wasn't on it, so I'm hoping that changes and she gets in 2022, but we may have to wait till 2023, which is a shame because I'm really, really, really looking forward to her show more than any of the other ones because this is a great character. At number 3, speaking of shows I'm really looking forward to, and this one is coming out in 2022, ObiWan Kenobi. And you can see here that I have Ewan McGregor up there instead of Alec Guinness. And nothing against Alec Guinness. He was obviously the original Obi-Wan Kenobi, but that version of Obi-Wan really only appears in one film and then becomes a Force ghost and just says, Luke, go to Dagobah. So we really get to know the character more through Ewan McGregor's interpretation of him, and even more so during the Clone Wars animated show, but I really like him in the prequels. He's definitely one of the strengths of those 3 films. And speaking of character development again, we get to see how he goes from a young Padawan himself to the trainer of Anakin. And their friendship does get explored a little bit more in the Clone Wars than in the films, but you get a sense of it in the films as well. And then the devastation that he experiences at the end of Revenge of the Sith is heartbreaking. I mean, he had the high ground. And things should have turned out perfectly because he had the high ground. I think those high ground jokes are never going to get old. Anyways, love me some Obi-Wan. Really looking forward to seeing what they do in his television series. And so he comes in at number 3 on my list. At number 2, Luke Skywalker, the original Jedi. He's the first one whose character journey we followed as we watch him learn and grow and learn to become a Jedi, even though it does happen a bit quickly, especially when you take the prequels into context and they talk about how long it takes to become a Jedi, and he does it in like 5 minutes, but that's totally fine because it's a great character journey. Nonetheless, he goes from that whiny little kid in the first film and goes, "Oh, but Uncle Owen, I wanted to go to Tashi Station and pick up some power converters," to this badass Jedi who just marches right into Jabba's palace and just kicks everybody's ass and is just super confident about how he's going to kill Jabba, even though he looks like he's in a bad position through the beginning part of that film, Return of the Jedi. So it's really great, and especially I love his appearance at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. Speaking of badass, it's one of the most badass Jedi scenes I've ever seen, and I freaking love this character. Also, bonus, Mark Hamill has some pretty awesome tweets. Just not to get too political here, but I love his politics. I 100% agree with him. So I gotta give a shout out to Mark Hamill and to the character of Luke Skywalker, who is number 2 on my list.
Number 1, Yoda is.
So number 1 is Yoda, his backward talking self. He is the ultimate Jedi, and he just really captured my imagination when I was a little kid, seeing this Muppet-esque creature voiced by Frank Oz, who was both silly and also wise beyond the ages. And throughout all of his other appearances in the prequels and in the Clone Wars, I don't think it ever quite lives up to the Muppet version of him in The Empire Strikes Back and very, very briefly in Return of the Jedi. But I still enjoy the character. He has a really great story arc at the end of Season 6 of the Clone Wars that is just one of the most visually stunning things that I've ever seen. So he's the ultimate in the Jedi Masters. I cannot think of anyone else more appropriate for this number 1 spot. Number 1, Yoda is, and that is my list.